Hello, Julie here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a layout that I created in a couple of settings, I have to admit. I had this photo of my granddaughter from her social for year 6, and it actually had a red background, and I didn't like the red background, so I cut around the photo. Now somehow or another I have lost some footage for this layout. And what you don't see is I have used my Craft script 12 inch by 12 inch stencil and some white modelling paste and applied that to the background of the layout, which is a piece of white cardstock. Now I'm working on my photo mat for the photo to be mounted on. Seeing as how it's got no background, I decided to use quite a large mat for it. The papers I'm using are from the Craft Daydreamer collection. The spot paper I cut 6 inches by 9 inches. The black starry paper is 5 inches by 8 inches, and the grey paper is 4.5 inches by 7.5 inches. I ink all of the edges of these papers. I then used double-sided tape to attach all of these layers together to create my photo mat. I decided to put a border of pattern paper around my layout, so I trimmed my white cardstock down to 11.5 by 11.5 and used that black starry moon full sheet of cardstock there. Leave that at 12 inches by 12 inches, but I do cut the middle out of it, leaving just a 1-inch frame, and then I'm going to attach my white piece on top of the black piece and thereby have my fine 1/4 inch black border all around my layout. I ink around the edge of both of my background layers and then use double-sided tape to attach one on top of the other. I've got this Tattered Angels glimmer mist called Cherub Pink, and I'm going to spray that around the background to try and highlight the texture paste a little, and I'm also going to just add some splatters. I cut a piece of the grey paper so that it's 10.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and I'm going to use that horizontally along my layout. a piece of black pattern paper that is 2.5 inches by 11 inches. I punched down one long edge of the black paper using this Martha Stewart punch. It's actually an around the page punch, but I'm only using the straight section at this stage. It looks a bit like shells. I use a piece of this pink spot once again to cut a piece that's 11 inches by 1 inch to go behind the black cardstock so that that punched edge stands out nicely. I inked the edges of the black and the pink papers and used double-sided tape to attach them to each other. I wanted to add some more colour to the background because it was very pale, so I used the same Glimmer Mist, the Cherub Pink, and applied that a bit heavier. I gave it a few more sprays and a few more larger splatters. Now that my Glimmer Mist is dry, I start to play around with the placement of my elements. I am backwards and forwards trying to decide where to put these papers, and as I said earlier, this was one of those layouts where I hummed and hawed, started it, stopped it, came back to it, liked it, didn't like it, so it took me quite a while to actually play around with this and decide where I wanted to put what. I attached a piece of cardboard to the back of the photo assembly because I wanted that to stand up from the background. Now that I've decided where everything's going to go, I go ahead and attach all of my papers to my background using double-sided tape. I decided to add a bit more texture, so I used my Crafters Workshop 6 inch by 6 inch stencil called Mini Cubist and some texture paste that I had coloured with some Plum Blossom acrylic ink. I've put that piece of white paper there because I don't really want to get it onto the white background, I just want to get it onto the pattern paper. So I just apply this texture paste randomly over the black pattern paper and also the grey pattern paper that goes along underneath the photo. Another problem I had with this layout was deciding what to embellish the layout with, but because the front of her dress has got a lot of fabric flowers on it, I decided to go with flowers. I have 3 new Heartfelt Creation stamps, so I decided to go with those. One is called Delicate Asters, one is called Daisy Patch, and one is called Tattered Blossoms. Now the Delicate Aster I stamped and heat embossed on white cardstock and then fussy cut that. The Daisy Patch I stamped and heat embossed on pink pattern paper and fussy cut that, and then the Tattered Blossoms is the one that I'm working on here. I just stamped that, I didn't heat emboss that, so I've just stamped that onto white cardstock. Now I'm using some of the Plum Blossom acrylic paint to colour the petals. I'm watering the paint down, and as I do each layer I add a little more water, so that as we are getting towards the top of the flower, the colour is getting a little paler. Once all the colour's been applied, and while it's still damp, I take my soft pad, which is an old stubby holder cut open, and my round tool, and I just push into the back of each petal so that we get a nice rounded effect. Then I let it dry so that we can maintain that shape for the petal. I do this for each of the layers of the flower. Now that they're all done, I use my glue to attach the layers on top of each other. I stagger them so that they are intermittent and they don't sit on top of each other. Gives the flower a nice fuller look. You will notice there that the smaller two layers, when I did the shaping on them, because they were still quite wet, I did break one petal off of each of those layers. Well, I'm not very worried about that, because if I stagger them, you won't know the difference. Once I've got all of the layers assembled on top of each other, I bring back my stubby holder and my round end tool, and I give it a good push in the middle of the flower. This helps to lift those petals and add some nice dimension to my flower. I'm going to add one of these crystal embellishments, just a gem clear, to each of these flowers, so just one in the middle of each one. So that white flower is the delicate aster, and the pink, darker pink one is the daisy patch. I've got half a doily that I had left over from another layout, and I've decided to add that to the side of the photo. So I'm going to use some of my wet glue to lay that in place, and then use my hot glue gun to attach the flowers to the layout. For my title, I decided to use these Freckled Fawn foam word stickers. Even though this is about her Year 6 social, I have done another layout that has that title, so I made that one instead of this one when I wasn't happy with the way this one was going. But then I decided to continue on with this, and so I'm giving this one a different title, and it just says Amazing. So here I am just fiddling around trying to decide where to put the title, and then I ended up deciding to put it down the bottom here, and I go ahead and stick that down. I'm still not that happy with the layout, and I decide to use my Uniball fine pen and do just a scribbly border around the page and the pattern papers. This does give it a bit more of a definition and a bit more of border, and I am a little happier with it, but I still am not completely happy with this layout. Not one of my better pages, I don't think. Alright, well, thank you for sticking with me through this video. I'm glad you joined me here today. If you've enjoyed my video, please subscribe to my channel, and if you'd like to share my video with your friends, I would really appreciate that. So until next video, thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.